You just murder them.
Yeah, 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead.
That's right.
That's the deal.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. And this episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B and Pinkett, because I almost forgot. But you can submit a question to the show anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now broadcasting from the churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
If you're wondering which of your Pod Therapy hosts is the best driver or has done the most bad things, Patreon.com/therapy. We compare
Or who's
war
lucky
stories.
to be alive.
Or who is very lucky to be alive. There are several stories in there.
Surprisingly,
People
all of
should
us
be dead.
I know, this is odd.
A lot of death with sleeping that
This
day.
was really good to
Yeah.
put life into perspective.
I think it does. Yeah.
Like, everything that happens in my life moving forward, I should just be like, you know what? I shouldn't have.
I didn't
These are all
try.
bonus
Here
days,
anyway.
brother. You don't deserve
I'm
any
living
of
on
them.
borrowed time as it is.
That's right.
This is-
You've gotten a lot more than you deserved. It was supposed to be done a long time ago. Check it out, patreon.com/therapy. We always have a little pre-show hangout that you can listen to. Lots of different things get discussed and just a fun time. So if you've bonded with us over time and thought, you know what, I'm just going to start listening to this thing a little bit more and kind of getting to know these people a little bit more, you can. And don't report us to the cops. If you sign on to the Patreon,
Unless it's for Jim.
There's an implicit agreement that everything is not reportable.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, good note, Whitney. We need to write up an NDA and just make that part of somehow the membership agreement.
Just when you sign up for Patreon, you sign the NDA.
Automatically, you just
Honestly,
in the
agree.
conditions that you just check.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't do a
Terms
very
and
I
conditions.
don't do a very good job of promoting our Patreon and really trying to sell it.
Yeah.
But if you are not a Patreon,
Go fuck yourself.
this week would be a good week because Jim does his impression of a Hispanic woman.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's an excellent time
Yeah.
to go check out Jim's
I already
impression
forgot. He
of
tried
a
to
Hispanic
distract in the
woman.
car wreck.
Yeah.
Good call, Nick.
She was Costa Rican, okay, which I feel I honored in the way I presented it. Okay.
Agreed.
There's
Agreed.
it's little dialect.
Oh, no,
There's
I
some
think-
dialect differences.
I
you
think
did well?
Jim's impression
People don't
was
know.
spot on.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
People don't
as
know.
good as it could have possibly been.
That's true.
As good as what I'm capable
Oh,
of.
That's
for
a
grading
fair
on a curve.
assessment.
Yeah.
It's a fair assessment.
It was better than anybody thought it was going to be.
Also, I also don't do a good job of pushing the Patreon in here, but it occurs to me that having everybody sign an NDA about the show
Yeah.
that would like them to tell other people about
Yeah.
isn't a good way to promote the show
Not a good
Damn it.
marketing
going
strategy.
forward. No.
But you know
All
what?
right.
I'd
This is secret.
I'd sleep better
Don't
at night.
tell anybody about it.
It's funny how often that
It's
is
like
the
Jacob
show.
knows what he's doing.
Please don't tell anybody
That
about
is
the
how
show.
Jim would like the show to be.
It is. It is.
Jim
I'm
would very much
perfectly
like there to just
comfortable.
be like a few more people, everybody on the Patreon, everybody real happy, and
Yeah.
nobody mentioned it to anyone.
Don't tell anybody you take this shit to your grave.
It's kind of this is the speakeasy of podcasts.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, we're happy
the
you found us.
past?
Yeah.
And
What's
we
the
want you to
safe
have a
word?
good time while you're here, but there's no sign in the window.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to say a word when you knock on the door. You got to know somebody. They better have brought you. Anyway, patreon.com/therapy. Check it out. We've got some great questions for today's show. And the first one I think is very interesting. Religion in therapy from Anonymous. Hello, Whitney, Nick,
Hi.
Dr. Smith, and
Evening.
Reverend Jim. Longtime listener, first-time writer, and big...
That's what you need to get from Jim.
the
Next bet.
Oh, yeah. He just keeps taking them? Yeah.
I like
It's
it.
the
Reverend.
Reverend
Yeah.
license.
There we go.
I do have that.
I think
That
I'm
is
already a
what-
reverend, though.
Yeah, I think you've already done this. You've
Double
already
time.
licensed yourself
No,
somewhere.
because I can definitely marry people.
I could marry people.
And I think I'm ordained by one of the. No, I'm
Spaghetti
ordained
monster?
by two churches.
Oh, okay.
No, the Pastafarians aren't one of them. One of them's like an online thing, and I think I'm ordained by the Church of Bacon.
Okay. Yes. That feels
I
right.
think
Sounds
I am.
delicious.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I might not be ordained by them.
I would
I'm
have
not
been
sure.
married in a house of bacon. My question is around, longtime listener, first-time writer, and big fan of what you all do for mental health. My question is around religion in therapy and seeking therapy as an atheist. For grins, I searched the Pod Therapy archive for atheist topics and got precisely one hit all the way back to episode 20. Damn, in 2018. So naturally, I figured I had to listen. Also, naturally, it didn't answer my question.
I would have been
that.
surprised if it had.
I just like that that's assumed. Yeah, and naturally, of course.
I assumed it.
Fucking Pod Therapy doesn't answer anything. But I did learn that atheism ruins Mother's Day, and Jim is an ordained minister. Okay, good, it came out. For a little background, my therapeutic needs include anxiety, perfectionism, hypervigilance, and difficulty opening up to others. I've tried therapy off and on for a few years with multiple therapists, with okay but not amazing results. Most recently, I ended with a therapist after 3 months when I realized that her inner bonding approach involves a heavy dose of religion. I made clear at the outset that I am an atheist and thought everything was okay until she gave me homework handouts with sections entitled "Your Soul is Immortal" and "Proof of Heaven." Boy, that's a little on the fucking nose.
Good.
Jeez. Yeah, when you said the inner bonding thing, I was like, I don't know, maybe that's
What
like...
made you think that she was religious based on that?
Weird. Rather than ghost her, as would have been my instinct,
Well, and then you would have had to come back 3 days later.
There it is. There it is.
Just a bit of pain.
You got it. Ring the bell.
That was good.
I did have rather than ghost her, as would have been my instinct, I did have a conversation about the topic, but she didn't acknowledge any problem on her side. Instead, repeatedly changing the topic to my reaction to religion. Previously, I've depended on the therapist to determine treatment approaches, since I assume that they are the expert. I will not do that going forward, since it seems that I need to keep one eye out for religious therapists. Or put another way, I'm pretty sure she left me worse off than when I started regarding hypervigilance and difficulty opening up to others and anxiety. So I have 2 questions. First, given how religious the U.S. is it even reasonable to expect a U.S. therapist not to bring religion into therapy? Or is this just something that atheists have to tolerate in the therapy room, same as in everyday life? And am I just maybe being a little oversensitive? Second, do you have any thoughts on how to better approach therapy when the patient is hypervigilant and has difficulty trusting and opening up, like me? Thanks again for all the enjoyable banter. Anonymous pronouns are he and him.
Okay. There's a lot of areas that I want to jump in. Number one, I think your search speaks more to the effectiveness of our search engine than it does about us discussing the topic, because I feel like we've discussed it ad nauseum.
There's a lot of Patreon content.
Oh, that's true.
That's
It's
why
probably
they're
behind
not
the
seeing
paywall.
it. Yeah, the titles of episodes won't usually have the word atheist in it, but we've had questions that are about this kind of stuff, I think.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to give you a resource, Ryder. The
Bible. Let me give you this chick
Read it,
pamphlet.
know it, understand it.
And you will be healed.
The Secular Therapy Project. Okay, it's a website. Seculartherapy.org.
Oh.
So there's a lot of people that are in your exact position who identify as agnostic, atheist, or both, and want a therapist, but really have trouble finding a therapist that isn't going to bring religion into the therapy office. And so the Secular Therapy Project is all about being able to connect those people with therapists. So if you are listening to this and you are a therapist and you want to register with the Secular Therapy Project, you can do that through their website, or you can register as a client, and it will help.
That's great.
It breaks it down by country, which there aren't many countries. Looks like maybe 7 or 8. And state.
It's more than Jim could name.
Yeah, and state. So so you can you can find a therapist in your state.
That's huge.
Who's part of the Secular Therapy Project. So check them out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
What do y'all think about the writer's question about, is everybody in the U.S. so religious that it's unreasonable to expect a therapist not to, A, be religious, and B, impose that in therapy?
I understand why he would think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live in the States, too.
For
I
sure.
do
That's
think-
going to change things a lot.
I do think, just in general, yes. In the world, you're living in what feels like a very Christian society.
You're just saying that because our money has it on it.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
And our government
And
officials keep insisting on putting the 10 Commandments up on walls of classrooms.
Yeah,
too.
the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm only getting that sense because it's true. But I think as you go into the therapy realm, as far as the population of therapists, I do feel like it is a little bit more secular.
It is.
However, they may be ditching the ideas of belief in Christ for crystals.
Right.
I was going to go there.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
So,
yes.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
I really agree with you. Because, like, when I was reading that, the quack. Yeah, so I completely agree with you because, like, when the writer says, "Oh man, is everybody going to be like religious?" I get that impression.
By the way, I'm sorry. You gifted us a couple of crystals when last time you went to Arizona.
Yeah, where are they? What the hell?
Just said that right in front of your face.
That's why Nick's in such a good mood.
Yeah, I have
Here's
mine
one
still.
right
No, mine's in my
here.
car.
Yeah, I keep
Mine's in
mine
my
here
car.
for good vibes.
To protect you.
That's
from-
probably over here somewhere.
It's pushing away all the voodoo. No, but that part is true. Like
I had
don't
to bring
think
those back.
if you go through like 100 therapists in your area, depending upon where you live, right? Because if like you're in the Bible Belt, then that's different, right?
Yeah.
The population is going to be representative. But I think that the therapist population will not be per capita as representative as your community when it comes to religiosity. And that's just because
you think that the therapists, if you have a city of 1,000 and 50% of those people are religious, you think in that same city less than half of the therapists would be religious?
As a trend, yeah.
Okay.
I do think that. And again, we live in the Western United States, and
Yeah,
it
it's
is
very
much
different.
less religious.
Yeah.
Like, and that is very well known.
Unless you're Mormon,
And then that
and then it's home.
Yeah. But, so like overall, I would say no, there's not like a high correspondence of people that are highly religious ending up in therapy or as therapists. But what Nick said is also true. The profession has struggled in, I think, the last 20 years of adopting idioms, concepts, and philosophies and practices from fundamentally religions. And then trying to neutralize that and be like, no. I'm not converting anybody to Hinduism. I'm not trying to get serious about Wiccanism. But it's like, but I do believe in like chakras and teaching you about energy and teaching you about karma. Like I went on that podcast, which is now no longer exists with fresh episodes, called Very Bad Therapy. Mm-hmm. And the episode I was on was answering a question somebody wrote in about a therapist doing all these, they were Hindu practices, but they were like couching them as I'm a new age energy spirit therapist. But no, not religious. Like, no, I do not believe in any religion. I don't attend anything anywhere. I don't have any title. But I really believe that we need to get your energy clear so that you can ascend. And like we had to talk about how fucking enlightenment is not a treatment goal. Like you can't do that. But there is this infiltration.
This is really interesting because you guys have seen like the rock gardens or whatever, or the
maze?
Sand gardens, not where you would like rake.
Oh yeah.
Like that's traditionally associated with Buddhism, right? I had one of those in my office.
Sure.
And I didn't have it because but it is tied to that belief system. That's not really why I had it. I had it because it was nice to look at and people could rake it. And sometimes if they're actively doing something, then they're more open to talk. But it is interesting because I never really thought about that. But even for me, it crept into my office without really meaning.
Next to the crystal I gave you.
Yeah.
Not counting the crystals. A lot of that stuff predates religion anyway, and it was incorporated into.
There's a lot of therapists that do not ironic crystal shit. Like that are like literally like, okay, so I really want you to take this stone with you. It embodies this kind of empowerment. And like I'm fine with symbolism. Yeah. Like I've given patients chips, AA chips that I've bought online whenever they hit their 1 year. And like, because I believe in the symbolism too, even though that's a different organization, even if they're not a part of it, it says 1 year sober, and it'll have something like be true to yourself on it. And I'll be selective. I'll pick something with a quote that I know that they empathize with. And I'll give that.
Thank you, O Lord Jesus.
Yeah. Praise Lord our God who got us through this. No, but I'll give them that and say, look, I know you don't go to AA, but I've been with you for over a year. You've been sober for a year. I wanted us to celebrate that. I wanted to give you a token that, just respects what we did. Yeah, so I bought you this and also a card. So yeah, like this, I'm fine with symbolism. And I think you're right. Like it's amazing the drip, drip, drip of general religiosity. And that's what's interesting about the writer situation. There can be situations where somebody could have taken offense to that. And been like, Nick, I told you I'm atheist. What the hell is with this Zen garden?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. you're overthinking it, bud. I'm an atheist too. Like, you really don't. Well, no, I'm not. Like, I told you this, and you're telling me as an intervention you want me to engage with this. You're by the book quoting, Siddhartha, and it's like, fuck. And so, like, if that happened in this situation, I could be forgiving of it. But boy, these handouts don't fucking seem like an
Oh,
accident.
no. Yeah, this is...
Like,
yeah.
your soul is immortal, and what was it? Proof of heaven?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that seems a little on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, the handouts are pretty over the top. Where my mind went is this new, I guess newish movement of therapists to be more themselves. I'm saying that in quotes.
Like self-disclosure?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a person too, and like I'm meeting you where we're at. And this whole therapy thing is like us working together. So in that, they believe like you
I don't
should.
like that.
I don't either. I agree.
I'm just imagining going into a therapist's office and them start telling me about themselves and be like, what?
I'm gonna bill
Am I
you for
supposed
this.
to care?
Exactly.
Do I get paid for this part of the session? What's happening here?
You are spot on, Jacob. That's how I feel about it too. And I get
You're billing my insurance for this part.
basically that's their belief or whatever
Right.
that
They want to
their
disclose
structure.
a lot about themselves, which I've seen hit and miss, right? Like, as a general rule, I don't like it. And of course, I think we've all selectively self-disclosed stories that we feel are in the best interest of the client, not because we need to reveal something or confess something, but because this is relevant to what we're talking about.
this will help our rapport somehow.
Yeah,
or
like
connectivity.
random example, there's a lot of female therapists that might be working with a patient who's going through a miscarriage. And they might say, as we go through this journey together, I want you to know that I've been through it. And okay, you just told me something very serious about yourself. And
without going into all the details, like
Right.
it was 10 years
I'm not
ago,
making this
it was
about me,
Yeah,
but I'm
exactly.
letting you know that I've been in your
I
shoes.
can understand a little bit.
And for many patients, if the therapist reads that correctly and realizes, I believe this is in their best interest to hear, that patient might say, thank you. Like, that really does give me confidence that I'm in the right place. But you're right. There's a ton of people now that are like, so I need to tell you everything I believe. And that gets fucking weird.
It is.
They start getting like, I'm like anti-racist. So these are my 10 political positions and here's who I'm voting for. And I've donated to Kamala and you should too. And it's like, this is not therapy anymore.
Yeah.
This is proselytizing.
I wonder too, I had a friend who, when they sought out therapy, they were atheists, but they went almost for like a little bit of like how religion traumatized them. So the therapist they sought out worked with people who were leaving religion, typically Mormons, because we do live in this area, this area of the world. But yeah, my friend was not Mormon, but they like connected to their therapist like that. And I don't know. I guess when you're seeking it, maybe using like Nick's resource, that's a really cool resource. I always thought people who were very Christian and therapists just wrote that in their bio. Like, I'm a Christian therapist, or this is a faith, because you can share that. Like,
I'm comfortable with therapists putting that in their disclosure of like upfrontness, of being
Me
like,
too.
look, I don't want to hide this from you because that really might be an issue for you. And so, or that might be something that's very important to you, right? And so, like, I'm just going to let you know. You're going to be giving
handouts. You need to write that in your bio.
Yeah.
Is my
for sure. Because I was going to say that too. Like, I think as far as writing it in your bio, I think the more you feel it could get introduced into therapy, the more you should include in your bio.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be brought in, then there's no sense including.
I
and I
agree
would
with that,
add to that, like in my case, I put in my bio that I come from the Christian background.
But I think that you do that because you want other people who also identify with that belief to see that
That's
you
exactly
understand what they're saying.
So exactly. And that's the addendum I would add to that last sentence of put it in because you can't help that coming up.
That's
why
I
can
put it
absolutely help coming. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, and that's one of the best compliments I've received is whenever a person ended up working with me, and then after a certain amount of time together, they said, I ended up picking you because I thought you were the right fit for me, but I really struggled because you did write a Christian thing about yourself, and I am absolutely not about that. And I was really scared you were going to bring it up, and you've never mentioned it. You've never brought this up. And like, I was really reassured by that, man. I just want to thank you for that. And it made me happy and sad. Like, happy in the sense of like, great, I'm glad you got great care. And I'm really glad that you gave this a chance and it worked for you and that I didn't screw it up. but then sad that like
you're not Christian.
Well, yeah, right. Sad that you don't believe in Jesus. Sad that you are surprised. Sad that you were surprised that I didn't. Like, you don't expect your regular fucking doctor to say shit about their religion. Like, you walk in and your doctor is, Indian and you know that they're Hindu or whatever. And then, like, great, I have a fucking cough. Can I please get some amoxicillin? End.
How
the whole
how does that doctor speak?
Patreon.com/therapy. I'll be taking all requests and we'll be doing that at the end of the show.
Well, but your doctor doesn't list that before you go into an appointment, like Hindu doctor,
right.
So you're already there, and then you might make assumptions based on certain things if you choose to do that. But like, yeah, I think writing it in your bio, like hearing you say that, I would avoid picking you as a therapist, seeing that. But it's fair that you're like, well, I'm not bringing it up unless it's needed. I'm trying to just reach others.
It's a risk that I decided to take because I knew that it was like,
good,
look, I do come from this background. And for those who are from that background, just like the ex-Mormon, they do feel sometimes like, I really do want to know that you speak my language.
Yeah.
And that's always been really helpful because when I do get a religious person, especially if they come from Christian traditions, one of the things I'm really proud of is because of the theological background, I can figure out which kind of church they go to. Mm-hmm. And that really helps, like if they're like, oh, I'm Pentecostal. I'm like, okay, great. I can make 10 more assumptions about the way you see the world. And that's going to be really important right now. And like, just because I understand them, that gives us a leg up in therapy.
Right. And if any snakes get into the office, they'll be able to get rid of them for you.
Yeah. I call them first.
Yeah.
That's their sign to leave if there's snakes in your office. They're like, oh, fuck
Ryder, I think we're all affirming you a little bit and comforting you that we don't expect this to be a regular thing. I don't think it's extremely common. I don't think that you should have to anticipate it.
No.
But yeah, this sounds shitty. Yeah. I mean, I dislike that happened.
That's surprising and crappy.
Yeah, goodness. I don't bring that kind of shit up.
Here's the other thing, though, Ryder. Kudos to you for bringing it up and actually like confronting the therapist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that you did that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I was impressed.
And
I
then
was
the therapist gaslit him.
Gaslighting is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because it's like
it sounds like you're really hardening your heart to Jesus.
Yeah,
yeah.
The gospel is foolishness to those who are perishing.
Want to talk about your reaction
the Book of Romans
to
says
religion?
Let me just show you this verse that kind of describes how you're being a bitch right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wow,
I'm not bringing
really
up religion.
You're
bringing up
you
religion.
Did it.
Clearly the problem.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, Ryder, this person doesn't sound like they handled this very well. And I again, this to me comes back to bad training. And this is something that I'm really fucking on my soapbox about, that I want us as a profession.
This is the thing.
It's honestly one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Values imposition is one of my biggest fucking gripes about the profession. And this is adjacent and connected to it, of this way of like, no, I'm trying to heal you because my religion teaches this. And if only you could see that, you wouldn't be depressed anymore. And like, that totally makes fucking sense. Because I know so many therapists, they're like, okay, you're depressed. I need to help you see a theological epiphany about eternity or your human value, because that helped me. And it's like that great that fucking helped you. That in no way is what you were trained in grad school.
No,
nobody did a fucking lesson on that and how you're supposed to cure mental illness with that.
Yeah,
but you're bringing it in
for the writer in this scenario. I kind of have advice in two different scenarios with the same type of thing. In this scenario, I think you did everything right.
Yeah.
Talking to the therapist about it, all those things. I think you did everything right. Bringing it to their attention that, like, hey, this isn't really what I'm signed up for. I would encourage you with your therapists going forward, be it this one or a different one. Worry less about them and more about you. Like, you're there for you.
Yeah.
I don't mean for that to come off flippantly. I really don't. But like, keep in mind, you're paying for this. Your insurance is paying for it. Your job is paying for it. However you're getting this, you're there for you. Yeah. You're paying for a service. If they are being unprofessional about it, that doesn't mean that you have to stop acquiring that service.
Good point.
Good point. Like you can correct them and you can say, look, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I want to go in a different path. But there's no reason to just cut it entirely. Right. Now then, finding a different therapist or whatever, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, not going to a therapist because, if you saw that they're religious on their website or anything like that, I'd encourage you to not make that a disqualifier.
Right.
Because like everybody's been saying, there is professionalism. Plenty of religious therapists or people who are religious who are therapists can practice secularly, all that kind of stuff. And don't sweat the fact that you live in a country where a lot of people disagree with your beliefs.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I mean, at the end of the day, have you tried opening your heart? Mm-hmm. And
that'll help a lot with the
confessing that he is Lord.
hypervigilance,
Also, there
difficulty
is-
opening up to others and anxiety.
You know,
There
there's
is
one
the
way to
old-
fix that,
That's
Ryder.
the second question. So,
Have you tried getting on your knees?
and
Just confessing with your heart and believing in your mind.
I mean,
I always love that though. That like that's the thing is like, well, you have to believe first,
Yeah.
right.
in order to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure,
You got to
yeah,
start
that makes
there.
sense.
Mystery of faith.
It'll happen. You
Mystery
fake it
of
till
faith.
you make it, baby. It's the mystery of faith.
Hey, don't bring fake it till you make it into
hold
this.
on. Are you
That
telling
is
me?
a tried and true method.
That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. How dare I, Sully?
Yeah.
The good name.
To fake it till you make
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Clearly you're. But no, one of the things that I dislike about this too that makes me really just beyond itchy is, again, kind of the gaslighting joke of like, oh, well, you seem really resistant to religion or religion seems very triggering to you. And honestly, if that was brought up, there is a voice that I will accept that.
Yes.
But
I
it
thought that
really
too.
is, if I'm supervising that therapist, I'm sitting them with them and be like, you seem
Why?
to be onto something.
Mm-hmm.
Ask another question. Yes, Whitney, this is fucking triggering. I don't like it. I am an atheist on purpose. I have had religious trauma. I hate this shit. And that's why I told you I don't want it. And like, okay, now if I'm supervising Whitney, I'm pulling her aside and go, sounds like your client really is pissed.
what do you think?
Is that something you think you need to fix or respond to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Should you fucking change course? And like, yeah, I probably shouldn't give him handouts with fucking crosses on them.
Yeah.
Maybe not, good
Yeah.
ideas. I feel like your therapist almost is right there, about to realize they fucked up, but is starting it from this position of, golly, you seem certainly really triggered right now. And I think you just say, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Like pointing out certain things is okay in therapy, but in that stance, it's like you inform them in the beginning you are atheist, and them bringing up Christianity is more
Yeah.
bizarre. So they
Right.
shouldn't
And
be
it
responding
then feels
with that.
like they're making an excuse after the fact. An
Like,
excuse
what's
for
wrong
their
with you?
behavior. Yeah.
Right.
Well, what about the second thing they asked about
How to open up.
Yeah, when you're hyper vigilant.
Last point on the first thing. I had a patient years ago who was an atheist, and I knew that. It was something we had discussed, and they had said, look, they had actually heard me on Pod Therapy, and they were like, but I know that you're not an asshole about it. You're an asshole many other ways, but not about this. I don't give a shit. But hey, man, this is important to me. Like, don't cross that line. I was like, yeah, fucking, I don't care. Like, let's talk
Yeah.
about your shit.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, we worked on this person's shit. We were very successful. And one day they had said, hey, can you give me any book recommendations about this particular topic?
The Bible.
Yeah. Let me tell you about a little thing called the Bible. No, but I'd recommended a book that had to do with relationships, and I just thought, I'd actually never read this book, but it's the one that everybody references, and so it's one of those ones you just blindly. And we all
Everybody
have
poops.
that.
Yes,
we all
yeah.
have several texts.
Yeah, a few, you're
Everybody
like,
poops. Yeah, we all have several texts that you
a lot
just
of religious
say.
undertones, and
Yeah, yeah.
everybody poops.
People bring up a certain topic and you go, oh, yeah, Brene Brown, The Power of
Yeah.
Vulnerability, or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, you've read that?
Yeah.
I have not, but
Huey
Yeah.
Lewis and the
the
news.
crowd's
the power
wisdom
of love.
tells
Yeah.
me I can probably trust this recommendation.
Yeah.
So I gave one of those titles that I was like, yeah, try this book. It's about relationships, and I've heard good things. Great. So the person gets it, reads it, and comes back, and they're like, so listen, man, luckily you and I are really close, and I know your heart's in the right place. And I was like, oh, fuck, what have I done?
do?
And they were like, brother, that book is, have you read it? And I was like, no, I haven't. It was something bad about it. And they were like, yeah, man, it is written from a Christian perspective. Like, there's the whole fucking preamble is that God loves marriage, and here's how we're going to make this work. And these are 8 godly principles to acquiring a good marriage.
Oops.
And I was like, son of a bitch, I fucked up bad. And they were like, you did. And they were firm with me, but also kind
Yeah.
to maintain the therapeutic relationship. Like, but I believe with my
think
heart,
that
you
was a
meant no
mistake.
disrespect.
Yeah.
But you stepped on a rake.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, are you okay? Like
Yeah.
that. So the posture I flipped to immediately is not like, oh, what the fuck's your problem? Why don't you
Yeah.
just get the good stuff and leave the rest? No. I immediately pivot to, I've put something into your life on my credibility that is distinctly something you are allergic to. Are you all right? I hope that you didn't push yourself to keep reading that based on my credibility. I hope you put it the fuck away and threw it away. And they were like, yeah, man, I plugged through it a little bit to honor you because I assumed you recommended it knowing this.
Yeah.
And then I finally stopped and realized...
Terrible assumption.
I think I'm giving Jim way too much credit. I don't think he's read this book. And he's like, luckily, I know you well enough that I stopped. And I was like,
this
okay.
is odd if Jim recommended
But we were
this.
able to get the car righted back on the road. We talked it out. We made it right. And I stepped on the rake, just like this person's therapist did. That's the right posture, though. It's apologetic. It's thank you for teaching me this, if you didn't already know it.
Yeah.
And I apologize.
So you didn't try to gaslight
in
him.
that case, yeah, no, yeah. Well, not
say,
about that. I mean,
what
I
is it
gaslight
about this
everybody all the
book?
time. But yeah, just you fucking eat crow, and you're just like, no, that is 100% my fault.
been
And are
there.
you okay?
Yeah.
You know,
I like
because
how the
I
point
want to
of-
put things that are helpful.
I like how the point of Jim's story is not he recommended a book to a client that he had not himself read.
Nah,
or
that
know
shit
anything
happens all
about.
the time.
His point of the story was how he handled the situation correctly.
Yeah.
Whitney and I did not jump in on that point because every therapist has done it.
Yeah. I was waiting.
Like,
If any one of them fucking picked up a stone, I was like, no,
It's
you
kinda
will
like,
not be casting the first
there's
stone,
two kinds
bitches.
of people in the world: people who pee in the pool and people who lie about peeing in the pool.
Yeah, there was a strange silence in the studio.
Yes.
Nobody took the shot. Here's Jacob like, what the fuck is going on around here?
I'm guilty of like reading half the book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good. And I never finish. But
I've
then
had
I'm
a
like,
lot
what
of
is wrong with
recommendations.
this one?
You'll flip through the table of contents on Amazon and just be like, okay, yeah,
Got
this
it,
is good,
got it.
this is good. And then you'll send it and be like, this thing is like kind of about Mormonism. Like, oh shit, is it really? I'm so fucking sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sentence 1 of chapter 1, angels are real.
And this is why you shouldn't be depressed.
And they're in the outfield.
Angels in the outfield. Yeah, Danny Glover will lead you to freedom. So the other part about just a few words on how do we encourage people that are struggling with hypervigilance, fear, vulnerability. How do we give them that extra kick to say, hey, some tips on opening up, some tips about like leaning in on the therapy experience, saying more words and not being afraid. How do you guys tend to kind of stir the pot a little bit when you get somebody who's a little bit walled off, seems to be struggling a little bit? If they say, you know, how do I do this? What kind of advice would you give them?
The little lip smack. Man, I really do in my therapy sessions, just in general, I really focus on rapport building. And I tell them that in my consult call. I'll go over the types of therapy I feel like most confident in and that I would utilize. And then I say, my opinion and research shows that therapeutic relationship is the most important to be the most helpful. So that is what I primarily focus on in the beginning. And most of the time that works, even with some of my toughest clients, it just takes a little longer for them to get in there. I might utilize other tactics. Like, I think I've mentioned this before. If we're in person, this is what kind of sucks about virtual, but in person, I would use like a little card prompting game.
Okay.
So it's not as like interrogation, but more
kind
like,
of
oh, by
random
chance,
questions.
like this one just happened to fall. Like, tell me
Tell me
about
about your
that.
dad.
So it
Yeah.
takes some of that pressure off. Like, because I think sometimes people who might relate to this client or to this writer are like maybe on edge a little bit. Like, why are they asking this question? Or like, you know, you're trying to be a step ahead, which comes from trauma, that's where that hypervigilance is coming from. And it's like trying to be 2 steps ahead to keep yourself safe. But in a therapeutic environment, you want to make your client or try to help your client feel as comfortable as possible.
Yeah. I'm on your side. I tend to take accountability as the therapist to get them 10% better at this, you know, and it doesn't mean they're going to be the person in a month that I'm such a good therapist that they're like opening up and like telling me everything.
Yeah.
No, but for them, we're doing a lot of emotional yoga and they used to be pretty rigid and I'm noticing they're a little bit more flexible.
Yes, that is the progress I will see. I'm like,
for you, you're doing so good right now.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You told me an emotion word about your day.
It's like one. I'm like,
I'm so proud of you. How did you feel? If I can be honest, a little angry. Wow.
Yeah.
That's gigantic.
I know, instead of like not good.
Yeah.
Like what they normally.
In addictions work, we've had a lot of people with some tall walls.
Yeah,
and that's a big part.
Fair.
But so here's the thing that my advice to this is actually more for anybody who's listening who is a therapist or training to become a therapist or learning about becoming a therapist. I'm going to answer from that perspective, which is we already heard Jim's soapbox.
Yeah.
Okay, on values and position. Here's my soapbox. My soapbox is on treatment planning.
I knew it. I knew that's where he's going.
I did too.
Here's the thing. I would say 98% of all therapists, and I feel real confident saying that.
Oh, God, here we go.
And
Okay.
we should.
98% of therapists do not know how to use treatment planning as a therapeutic intervention.
No, that is true. Yeah, never mind.
The majority of therapists, if they or counselors, when they use a treatment plan, they use it for just, well, this is a treatment plan. That's it. They look at it as just
a little
treatment
reference
plan.
to go off of
Yeah,
occasionally.
this is just notes.
Yeah.
This is part of documentation. We just have to have this.
We're aiming north.
You're missing a huge opportunity. If you're using treatment planning as a therapeutic intervention, it's so beneficial, because anytime when my clients leave that first session after we've done a treatment plan, they are leaving optimistic.
Yeah.
They're leaving with a sense of, oh my God, I can actually do this.
Yeah.
And they're leaving with, and I've got somebody who's going to help me do it.
And the objectives are clear.
Yeah.
And that also involves them.
Yes.
They know what they need to do to accomplish
They
this.
have objectives.
Yeah.
And then the therapist has interventions.
Right.
Okay. So it's like, it's both of us coming together and saying, you're going to do this, and I'm going to support you by doing this.
Yes.
And we're putting it down on paper. And that's how you use treatment planning as a therapeutic intervention.
Yeah.
So for the writer, you don't have a part in that.
Yeah.
This is it comes back to the therapist.
Yeah. And I agree. I wonder though, like from a client's or patient's perspective, how would you give like a client advice, like going into therapy, how to open up,
I don't think that's your job, right?
Well,
as the
well,
client.
I like your willingness.
As the client.
Yeah, I like that the writer's aware that they need to be challenged to do better.
Yeah,
with that.
I think I would recommend to the writer,
if you're not opening up, you're not ready, or like I don't know.
Yeah, then you're not trying, and you don't deserve it.
I do want them to.
But I mean,
I think you go
not
into
trying, but
my suggestion would be to go into each session feeling like you've pushed the envelope just a little bit.
I love that. Yeah, that's the emotional yoga.
Just get a little bit outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's all you have to do. You're not responsible for anything else. You step right outside your comfort zone, and then you let the professional deal with everything around it.
Yeah.
A trick that you can use on your side of the street, regardless of who the therapist is taking an emotional inventory daily and weekly.
Yeah.
And this is something that we do a lot in addictions treatment, because a lot of people with addiction problems are self-medicating their emotions and completely unaware of them. Mm-hmm. And so one of the ways that we start getting that emotional vulnerability to show up and start getting them to access authenticity and even notice what the hell they're feeling and what's going through is kind of highs and lows. And we'll start having them track every day. Hey, what was your high point today? What was your low point today? And then they'll write that down. And then we'll kind of get them to start using more words to describe that. What was that like for you? Why did that suck? Is that something that's been a pattern in your life? Oh, somebody cut you off in traffic. Has that historically always bothered you? Do you tend to get angry in traffic? And we just keep asking questions, and we're trying to get that person to access more and more insight and become more and more comfortable saying words and using language to describe themselves. So an emotional inventory writer that you're kind of journaling that's saying, hey, what did I feel today? Downloading an emotional vocabulary list.
I like that.
Huge. The wheel of feel, getting
Feelings
something
wheel.
to, come back to that. And I think if we can just get you to a place where you are noticing, what were my emotions today? Can I use those words? Can I write those words down? And then when you come into a therapist and they say, most of us, I think, start sessions almost always the same way with, so before we get into anything big or follow up on any homework or anything like that, how are you? Let me just check in on you. And we all have different ways to inaugurate that. But there's a great opportunity in that window for you to say, yeah, I've actually kind of been tracking kind of what's up and down in my life over this last week. Mm-hmm. Would you like me to share some of that? And most therapists are like, fuck yeah. We love that shit. Please bring it in hot. Yeah. And that's great. Then you can jump in and go, so my boss asked me to come to a meeting first thing in the morning on Thursday, and Wednesday night he sent me the email, and I felt really anxious about that and really frightened about that. And I was sure I was going to get fired. And I was up until 1 a.m. Looking up other jobs and frantically applying for them, thinking I was going to get fired the next day. Wonderful work. You are being vulnerable. You are telling me about your fear of failure. You're telling me about, panicking. What happened that next morning? Nothing. He just wanted me to, asked if I could come in an hour earlier the next week. Okay, great. What did you feel? So now here we are. We're doing it. We're therapizing.
Yeah.
Because you initiated with inventorying your emotional truth.
Yeah.
So, writer, that's a trick that you can do.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of students, interns, and colleagues who listen to our show more than I think we should.
Primarily on the therapist.
It is terrifying. And I think all three of us have a lot of notes for all of our friends because we want to make sure the therapist is doing their job to invite you in. You sound willing. And as long as I have a patient who is willing and they're showing up and they're willing to try, and if they can tell me, hey, I suck at this, but you have permission to pull that thread, I will. But you have to keep in mind, writer, and this is my last thought on this, we're very good at reading humans, but we also obey what you say most of the time.
Yeah.
And so if you don't seem to be giving me permission to ask more questions, if I think I'm making you uncomfortable, I will stop. I will be polite and I will not continue. And then you might think, gosh, he was almost, if he just would have pushed a little bit further, I probably would have really opened up. Look, man, I'm not a fucking Jedi. I can't read your mind. And so, but what helps is when people admit to me, I need to try harder. What helps is when people admit to me early in the work, Jim, I want you to know I struggle with opening up and being vulnerable. I don't know how to fix that, but you have permission to try. And if I ever seem uncomfortable, I want you to try to help me open up about something. Maybe check on me, take my temperature, and ask if it's okay to keep going. But Jim, I'm here to do that.
Yeah.
And I've had folks do that.
Yeah.
And then they're also
like, I need to
a
be
tough nut to
pushed or
crack.
whatever.
But you gave me permission. You said
Yeah.
you have permission to challenge me. And I go, great. And I'll write that shit down in my fucking notes and I'll refer back to it.
Yeah.
Because then when the day comes that I do, I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, Whitney, I just want to remind you when we first met,
kind of a
you
bitch.
mentioned this. You're kind of a wench.
I used to do that. I used to do that in addictions treatment.
Yeah.
I would say, like in the very beginning when I first started meeting with clients, I would ask them, hey, if I start to notice something and it seems to me like you're falling back in your addiction, how do you want me to approach it?
Oh, that's a baller move.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
I love that.
and then that way when that happens,
Yeah.
then I go back to my notes. I'm like, well, I remember you told me this is how you wanted this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like asking a kid, how do you want your punishment to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, but that really does work because it's a consent of the governed thing.
Yeah.
And you have the social agreement, and then Nick will be like, hey, do you remember when we first met, you told me this is how you want to be addressed? Yeah, I'm addressing you like this today, buddy, because it's out of control. We need to work on this.
Yep.
I'm going to keep addressing you like this until you say the safe word.
Yep.
Pineapple.
In a dress.
It's always pineapple.
It's agreed. Open palm is fine.
Yeah, that's right. Writer, anyway, good luck with
Permanent
this.
damage, okay.
Don't be afraid to, as Jacob said, continue to go to get what you need out of this and teach your therapist along the way. But this is something that we call a rupture in the therapeutic relationship. And sometimes therapy can recover from it. We can get the car back on the road. I told a story about where it happened to me. And sometimes the patient says, you know what? I'm just not feeling respected by you. I don't feel like you're trying to get the cart back on the fucking road. And I'm scared that you're going to keep doing this. We're not a good fit. So I hope that doesn't happen here. I hope you're able to recover the relationship. I encourage you to approach with an open mind and try to clear the air and say, look, I'm not calling you a bad person. I'm not calling you a bad therapist. I do have resentment about religion. It is a trigger for me. I'm telling you that up front. That's not something to be fixed. That's something to be honored. I'm asking you to respect my cultural and anti-religious views. Or call it religious views or whatever. Use that language, and most therapists have a little alarm bell that will sing in their head that goes, oh, shit, that's right. I'm supposed to respect ethical boundaries of culture and social background.
Got a little wonky there.
Yeah, so sometimes you got to use the words. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about handling my mother's affair from Anonymous.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar, Swan Rose, Hannah Marie, and Emma Kane. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Because we had so many trivia questions from Emma, I'm trying to space those out so I never have to write.
We still have more horse questions?
We do. And I'm trying to space those out so I never have to come up with trivia again. And I went back into the archives and I got some bulk trivia that Myra sent in.
Oh, cool.
So
I'll tell you this before we get to that trivia.
Uh-oh.
There was a whole bit on whichever channel I was watching the Olympics on about how they need to just put Snoop Dogg on a horse so he can also win a medal. at these Olympics because he's been doing everything else.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Just be an
yeah,
Olympian?
this announcer agrees with Jim that the
Yes.
horse is doing all the work.
The horse is doing it. Snoop, just hold on, man. Just hold on.
Did you see the guy that was doing the shooting? I think he was from Turkey.
Oh yeah, the dude
Oh,
that
yeah,
just
yeah.
fucking has his hand in
Hand in
his
his
pocket.
pocket.
Yeah,
Just like-
Oh my
pulls it out
God.
and fires.
The only thing missing was a cigarette.
I know.
That
Yeah.
would have been perfect.
I believe it was a non-smoking arena.
That's the only reason he didn't
Yeah,
have
that's
one.
too bad.
Yeah, like didn't have the lenses, didn't have the earplugs, didn't have.
Yeah.
Apparently, he like just started doing it too as a
yes.
hobby.
Yeah.
I read a little article about him that I've now forgotten, but
Yeah.
it was something like his wife wanted him out of the house.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no,
fantastic.
it was
like-
really something just
And
dumb like that.
He's got gray hair. Like
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
just
he's in his
there.
50s.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
chilling. Like I don't know. I fucking came here.
yeah, and he won a
fire a
silver
gun.
medal.
And I don't know if this is true or not. We were talking about this the other night. I went out to smoke a cigar with one of my golfing buddies. He was talking about it. And he said that afterwards he was interviewed. He recently got divorced from his wife.
Oh wow.
And in his interview, he said to his wife, "If you're watching, I want my dog back."
This guy.
I don't know if that's true or
I
not.
want it to be
I want
true.
it to
That
be
could just
too.
be from The Onion. Yeah. Like, that sounds.
So now
This
that you've
guy
won the
really-
silver medal
yeah.
in the Olympics and you're an international like idea, what would you like to say? You bitch, give
You
Rover
should say
back.
thank you.
I want him back.
I mean, this guy should be the national symbol for Turkey from now
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Yes,
For sure.
he is my
Okay.
spirit animal.
He should be president.
2 points on the fly, 1 point with options. What is the highest grossing holiday movie of all time?
Oh my god.
I'm gonna pick the low hanging fruit and say Home Alone.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Though I don't know what holiday.
Highest
Oh.
grossing of all time.
Good
I mean,
point.
yeah, does Die
Holiday.
Hard count?
I consider it a Christmas movie.
I do too.
But I don't think it's going to gross
Is
enough.
like Nightmare Before Christmas a holiday movie?
Right.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
Halloween?
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
bet you that's close.
I was gonna say like Muppets Christmas Carol because that shit I feel like everyone loves.
One of the Christmas carols is very strong. I love that movie, by the way.
Or is it going to be a long running one? Is it going to be like the Peanuts?
Grinch. Oh, Peanuts. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's a
The
good one.
pumpkin Charlie Brown.
Right.
one.
I'm going to go with Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so you're going
Yeah.
on the fly too.
I'm going to go on the fly.
Highest grossing. I'm gonna wait.
So you're Miracle on 34th Street. You're and you are what?
What did I say? Home Alone.
Oh, okay. I gotta wait. I'll wait on choices.
gonna wait.
Right. Pussies.
Elf.
You.
Shit.
Die Hard.
Oh, God.
Oh,
It's a Wonderful Life.
Fuck me.
Oh,
Home Alone.
It's a Wonderful Life is my guess.
Damn it.
oh! I don't think it's gonna be a wonderful life.
I was going to say It's a Wonderful Life, and then I decided I didn't feel like it was a Christmas enough movie to
I don't know
really
what highest
count.
grossing means. That like opening day in a movie theater? Or is
No,
that
it's
just
just gonna
like
be total
time.
gross.
It's going to be all time.
No, it's gonna be total grossing.
I'm sticking with It's a Wonderful Life.
I
Okay.
think you got it.
I was thinking Elf too. I was thinking Elf and Die Hard were my two. I'm mad that they're both on there.
When you said Miracle, I was like, "There's another black and white." one.
Yeah,
That was it.
I'll go. I'll take Die Hard.
Okay, it is Home Alone.
Fuck.
Oh,
Wow.
who
Two.
got that right? Did anybody
I
get
did.
that right?
I got 2
did.
points.
Nobody
on
got that
one.
right?
Okay.
Great.
Because he can
What
see
do we
the
got?
he can see the answers. as well.
Nobody cares. Yeah, weird. Nick keeps winning. So weird.
Okay, mycology, I think is how this is spelled. mycology.
Yeah.
Mycology is the scientific study of what?
Fungus. Final answer.
You said that very confidently, so I'll wait for options.
I'll go fungus. I'll ride with Jim on this one.
Oh, you're.
My man. That's my ride or die.
I'm gonna ride
That's
with
my
Jim.
best friend
Yeah, it's
Jacob,
probably the
everybody.
worst thing.
As revealed in last episode. I
feel like Jim might be right, but I'm waiting
According to
for
this tattoo on my
options.
fucking
Okay.
ass.
Cancer cells, flowers, fungi, or blood.
Suckers.
No, I'm sorry. No, you said fungus.
Oh, fuck you.
yeah.
Fuck you right in the neck.
That's singular.
Right. It was an entire
you
field
need
of
the-
study of one particular
particular
fungus. You're
fungus.
right. You're right.
This
You're
mushroom.
Only this fungus.
We've
please.
named this mushroom Edward.
So I'll go fungi.
Yeah, me too. We're all on the same
It
train.
is fungi.
Oh, be goddamn.
I was desperately hoping that it wouldn't be fungus.
So we can all crash this car.
Okay, the first vaccine was for which disease?
Oh, boy.
Polio.
Yeah, I think it's polio.
It
Is
seems
my
right.
guess.
I'm going to go for 2 on polio.
I'll take polio.
I'll join the tribe.
Okay. Let's highlight that.
Shit, now I kind of think that's wrong. Go
I
ahead.
know, because I'm kind of thinking like George Washington.
We're all wrong.
Is
God
it measles?
damn
It's not on there.
Is it
Was it smallpox?
What's the
It's smallpox.
smallpox?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome.
So I got 3.
I got 1.
2 and 2.
2.
I
All
mean,
right.
it's we'll
You'll give it to us?
I don't
What
know.
a nice
I don't
guy.
know.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
I knew one of the last people to get polio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just died this last year, but I knew he was one of the last people to get polio before the vaccine.
Wow. That's crazy. Handling my mother's affair from Anonymous. Short question, how should I interact with my mother after discovering her affair?
Well, not sexually, if that's what you're asking.
Do I have a shot?
Hold on. Let's hear her out.
I mean, maybe.
We don't know where this is going.
Yeah, we should get the deets.
I don't know if you should join in if that's what you're asking.
You know, let's see what the question is.
All right.
Backstory. My mom has had a long history of marital affairs. My first awareness of them was back in high school when I discovered that she was cheating with my dad's coworker. It was a very emotional time where she was kicked out, but asked to be back in the family and forgiven. My dad forgives and moves on, stating that he doesn't want to see her homeless and he doesn't want us to be without a mom. She also fell for a scam where this guy talked to her via the internet and promised a life together, but he funneled $10,000 out of my mom.
Catfish scams.
Until we found out and stopped it. The most recent occurrence on July 4th, I checked her location to find out that she was...
That's just terrible, because, your mom is trying to have an affair with someone and is throwing money out the window.
It's just both things.
That's just
double whammy.
Terrible on
Triple
top of
whammy.
terrible.
I checked her location on July 4th and found out she was at a hotel. She was with the same guy that I had found her to be cheating with many years back, 14 years ago. I confronted her, and she said that they were just friends. I was furious. Just friends hanging out at a hotel.
Right.
I was furious. My dad said he was beyond feeling hurt at this point. My sister also told me a secret that my dad was keeping about how he has been emotionally involved with a woman for the past few months. I never thought my dad would do something like this and also cheat. My dad said at this point he has no love for my mom and they are roommates. I'm still mad at my mom and have not spoken to her since July 4th. What should my relationship with her be going forward? And how can I move on? Thanks, Anonymous. So everybody keep in mind, we have no idea how old this person is.
Right.
As a general rule, we assume and strongly encourage that nobody under 18 ever listen to this show.
Yeah.
But we can't stop them. And
Well,
so
how
we have to
long
keep that
has
in
this
mind.
affair been going on? That might tell us a little bit.
The writer said they caught mom 14 years ago with a coworker. So I think there's enough room here for us to assume
So they're
this
at least
person's-
14 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they caught him at 5,
Child
still 19.
Child development, Nick.
Yeah.
Use your skills.
Okay, I think we could probably safely young adults, probably in their 20s. That might be a safe number. Maybe they were 10 when they caught mom. Did they say how old they were when they caught mom?
No, they didn't.
No, I don't think so.
So let's assume 10 and then call it 24 presently.
I'm pretty happy to stick with my original advice.
Don't have
Do
sex
not
with
become
mom.
sexually involved with your mom and or
That's
the person
some
they're
life
having an affair
coaching.
with.
You're messing.
Advice.
No, fuck Jacob's advice. This is an opportunity to get money out of your mom.
Okay, so 3 out of the 4
Impersonate a man on the
professionals.
internet.
This is going well. This is going well.
You just need to make a fake account.
Just catfish your mom.
Catfish your mom.
Teach her a lesson.
You could be getting a lot of fucking lunch money.
You can do it for your own good.
Yeah,
you could
honestly.
like put that money into a savings
Yes.
account.
Funnel it back into a different account. You know, it's got a good like interest rate.
If she's gonna get catfish.
Yeah.
This has to be a movie.
You almost
script.
have a responsibility, and she'll stop cheating on your dad with other people because she'll be into this whole internet affair with you.
I know a stockbroker who can guarantee a 13% return.
Come on. That's a great investment. And this is just
Bernie
helping the
Madoff.
whole family. Yeah. We'll move that money around.
Okay, so if you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Option B. Option A was clearly a good answer. Now we'll try other ideas.
Don't Oedipus Rex your mom.
Okay, part of me is thinking...
Don't Oedipus Rex your mom's vajay. Got Rexed.
That's why they listen.
That's a t-shirt, honestly. That's a really
It's
good
like-
t-shirt idea. I mean, the character makes itself. Like, it's just blindfolded.
I still got to make that one, the Peter one. I can't remember what that one was.
What was
Meat
it?
Factory or
Meat-
something?
Yes.
Yes. Let's Pete the Meat. That was it.
Here, part of me is kind of thinking, like, if I was in this situation, I would just try to withdraw as much as I can from both of... Because obviously, Dad's moved on.
That's it.
And you can't, it's hard to be more hurt than the actual victim.
Yes, well
said. And here's the other thing too.
Kid's a victim too.
And that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I realize that you are a victim of this in your own way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a different way than you know, if it was happening to you directly. But man, as an adult, they're adults. I would really just kind of try to withdraw as much as I can from this. And
I mean, the sad truth is you can't fix their relationship. You can't go back and uncheat. You can't make your mom go back and uncheat or something. Like if your dad is not interested in holding that relationship together, I don't know what you can do with it.
I think the very first thing you need to do is just understand that there's nothing that you can do in this situation. Yeah. This is a very clear example of not my monkey, not my circus.
Yeah.
And I still think that you're still going to have to deal with your own emotions.
Right.
You're still going to have to deal with your own relationship, but I think that now becomes the main focus. And anything trying to help out dad or help out mom, I think
police
you just kind of
becoming the detective who's in charge of tracking this and catching this and revealing this. Boy, is that not your
Feel free to keep on keeping your mom from getting catfished and swindled out of money.
Yeah, by impersonating
the
a sexy Brazilian man who needs money.
If you steal all her money, no one else can.
That's guys.
So
A was a solid option.
Yeah, I'm still happy with that.
Yeah.
Don't have sex with your mom and steal her money.
Is it okay if we just continue to workshop this for a little bit, and then if we need to, we can always come back to this?
We're going to come back to A.
All right.
But we'll fill in some gaps.
Okay.
But no, what Nick was saying is that's kind of where I was about to go with it was the relationship up. I would suggest figuring out what you want that relationship to look like now,
right,
and then figure out how you can get there.
Yeah,
and you're not going to get there by punishing your mom for past transgressions.
Right,
that's true. There's nothing you as the child are going to do that then she's just going to be like, oh my God, I now see the error of my ways.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
yeah, that leans in toward the route that I was thinking where. At some point, you just have to acknowledge that your parents are who they are. And your mom obviously has an extensive history of making certain choices that are not great for her family. It seems like they're what she wants. And that might just be who your mom is. So kind of what I guess Nick had said earlier, like getting space from that relationship might be really helpful just to give yourself time to heal and figure out what you want. Like Jacob was saying, like, what relationship do you want with your mom? And that space could look like a long time.
Right.
It doesn't have to be just like, a week or a month or something like that. But give yourself as much time as you need to figure out if this is who my mom is. She's probably not going to change. Most parents don't as they get older. She is who she is. Do you want to accept that or not? What kind of relationship would you have with her if you did accept that about her? And are you okay with that? And you can try and see how it goes once you decide. And if it all blows up again, be like, all right, I'm going to pull back out again. I'm going to go over here. But I don't know.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that one of the most important things you need to do, Ryder, is take that big step back and just reflect on all this from the perspective of who am I in these people's lives? This is my father. This is my mother. I am their child. They did not marry me. They did not swear an oath of fidelity to me. And I, though I am a victim in some ways because I'm part of a human ecosystem here, have not directly been betrayed. Mom has betrayed dad, and dad and mom apparently have an arrangement. Maybe that has been their closed door conversations. Maybe that has kind of been the rolled eyes, detachment for all these years is sort of like, look, we're here for the kids. Don't throw away any more stupid money. Don't open up credit cards and live your life. We're not technically an open marriage because I'm not going to cross that boundary, but we're detached.
Although, let me push back on that for just a second. Because one of the things that you said is that I personally was not betrayed in this situation.
Right.
Hypothetically, if let's say the writer was a patient of yours and you're doing therapy, what would you want to know from the writer's perspective? Because I'm sitting here thinking, like, if I'm working with this person, one of my questions is I'm going to be like, I want to know, okay, you feel hurt in this situation. I want to know, what does this mean to you?
Right.
What does this situation mean? Because although they may not have been like, I don't feel like I was hurt because I was betrayed. I felt something.
Yeah.
And it meant something, but I don't know if the writer even knows what that is yet.
Great point.
You know, because I'm thinking like, from my perspective as a child, you know, if I'm in this situation, one of the things that may be affecting me is I built up my parents to be these infallible human beings, and now I see that they're doing these hurtful things to each other.
We relate to our parents so much.
Yeah. And then now I feel like now I'm grieving an idea of what my parents were.
Yes.
And so I'm a victim in that sense, though not directly.
I love everything you said. You actually ended up going right where I wanted to go, which was the argument that I do. No, really, because
it's easy to know the answer once it's been given.
No, the language that you're using is CBT language, right? And so that's the reframe. And so I wanted to cue it up from the angle of, let's start by how we might be interpreting this. You have done this to all of us. You've done this to me. And then let's go deeper into that, right? And let's get to a place where we understand, what are you feeling about this? Because really what you're doing is grieving. Really what's happening is there's been a betrayal in the sense of a shock, in the sense of sadness for your father. There's all these layers of pain, but let's rightly place where those exactly are. Let's really connect dots, because that clarifies some of this too. When you have this clarity of, okay, I'm going to re-language what has really happened. It's not my mom has cheated on us or my dad or this. It's my family is broken and breaking, and I am horrified to discover my mom is a person capable of doing things that we all agreed we would not do. Right. That's a different thing. She's changing in my mind. Yeah. And I'm scared for my father, and I'm scared for all of us and our ecosystem. What happens at Christmas now? What happens at this? Is this going to keep happening? Do we have to like get to know this new dude? There's all this grievance hurricane that's happening, and that's what you're swept up in.
I think the fear point, I want to touch on that because I think that's a good point, is that even because we have this assumption that like, okay, we have this fear as children, but now that we're adults, we're kind of living our own lives, and therefore we should have less to worry about. Right. But there is, I think, still kind of this instinctual reaction that we have where it's like, well, this is my security blanket here. Yes. And if mom and dad are not getting along and they're getting divorced, then now that threatens my environment. Even though I'm an adult, it's still like it activates this animalistic part of the brain where it's like your environment's no longer safe.
Yes, that's
it. And so you're still processing that.
That's it. It's the psychological home that you live in. And, you know, Ryder, for a lot of people, and this comes up in therapy a lot, there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s and throughout life that suddenly discover something about their parents that was always denied them as children. Now, in your case, you seem to have caught on kind of early about some things, and some of this was revealed. But for a lot of people, their image of their parents is shattered. They discover that parent had a secret child. You know, they discover that there had been cheating. They discover that somebody had stolen something or been arrested at some point. Like the idyllic, version of the family is shattered or broken. You discover bad things. And it is haunting. And I think grief is that, again, we've talked about this in the past, it's a reaction to change fundamentally. And your vision and view of the family and the cohesion of the ecosystem is all changing. Now dad is emotionally involved with somebody else. What the fuck is going on around here? So what? Dad, you don't give a shit that mom's like meeting with this dude? You have somebody else that you're talking to?
Why am I the only one who cares about this?
Yes. That was the point I wanted to drill into. Yeah. It was like, you might find yourself going, dad says he's not even surprised and he's emotionally detached and they're just roommates. And when I hear you bringing this up from that context, when both of your parents seem to not give a shit, that's me wanting to comfort you and say, hey, let's talk about this, right? Like, let's right size this, not to dismiss it, not to minimize it, but let's find you in this story where you're attached to this ecosystem, where you're affected by these choices and this pain. And that allows us to also understand the answer to your question. Mm-hmm. How should I respond to my mother given the situation? Yeah. And that was the thing I wanted to bring you all the way around to, was this can still be your mother who is changing, and who is going in a new direction, and your father who is changing on, and your father may end up having a relationship with this other woman.
Yeah.
And that might cause you to write back into this podcast, go, well, son of a bitch, now my dad's like dating some lady or like going out to dinner with them, and I don't know if they're having sex. Should I ask them if they're having sex? And it's like, okay, great, you're overstepping. I want to bring you back into your part of this ecosystem, that no matter what happens, that you are their child.
Yeah.
And this happens for a lot of young people and adults, that when their parents change or change partners, they need to almost sit you down and remind you, mommy and daddy still love you. You're still ours. And what we're doing to each other and the feelings we're having for other people is not in any way inside of the same circle of how we feel about you, our children, and our loyalty to you. So I think these kinds of things do need to be fleshed out to get to your answer of how should I interact with my mother, because I don't want you to police her. I don't want you to be the one holding her accountable. I don't want you to be the one bringing her shame or consequences. I don't want you to be the one calling family meetings and trying to get everybody on the same page and what the fuck's going on around here? Why don't you guys love each other anymore? Yeah. All of this is you taking on so much. I just want you to be the daughter who is sad. And I want to start there therapeutically and see where that takes us. So there's a lot of layers to this writer, but I think that we're all in agreement. Plan A is still the best one.
Yeah, we are definitely.
Yeah, we still keep coming back to that.
Yeah,
Catfish.
I mean, didn't beat
It's
it.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
Go
Brazilian.
with your instinct,
Yeah,
your
we
initial
tried.
instinct.
Brazilian entrepreneur, all of his money is sunk in his newest investment, and he really just needs a
Yeah.
little bit to get
little-
Just
by.
make sure
Just
you
a little
call her.
liquidity. Liquidity.
It would really
Just
make
make sure
a
you
difference.
call her my queen, 'cause
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what they do.
My queen. Have you had a Brazilian?
No, I watch all the
catfisher?
YouTube channels.
Oh, you watch them.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
like my
That's-
weird obsession.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So that's the advice, writer. And with that, you will make a buttload of money. Get those into strong investments. Really don't settle for anything less.
We'll list requests in the
Yeah.
Discord.
We give a lot of financial advice.
Yeah,
Patreon.com/therapy.
That's where you go.
Get
for
your
the
financial advice.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about coping with a friend's death. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar, Swan Rose, Hannah Marie, and Emma Kane. And if you would like to sponsor the show, head on over to patreon.com/therapy and sign up to become a theraproducer. All right, continuing on. Next trivia questions as soon as I pull up the right document.
2-2. Jacob and I have 2. And then Whitney
I've got
has
3.
I have one.
You both have 3?
I've got 3. She's got 1.
Okay. Got it.
We're the meat and the and Whitney and Nick are the bread.
Just like
Yeah.
we talked about.
Yeah.
So meaty.
That's how I see it.
It's going great.
What country are the Galapagos Islands located in?
Fuck you, Myra. You knew what you were doing. I'm waiting for options. I ain't got a goddamn clue.
I'll take options.
You going for it?
I'm going to go for it.
You're going for because you
What
can
are
see the
you
screen.
gonna say?
No,
'Cause
it's blacked out.
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a country in mind.
What are you
I
going for?
have an idea.
It's like a
I
little.
want to say Chile.
Oh, I was gonna say Brazil.
Okay, so you guys are both
Oh, is
South
it in
America
the-
on this shit?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
Atlantic or
I actually don't
Pacific?
know, but in my mind, it's always been there. So maybe I should just go with
Oh.
options. I'll go with options.
Shit. Oh, shit.
My guess
now
is-
I'm second guessing.
A friend of mine works for a company that takes tours to the Galapagos Islands,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
and I know where they
What
take the
ocean
boat
they're-
out from.
Oh, that's a big piece of info.
But I don't know if that's
Don't
the
give it away.
country.
Hold on.
No, I'm saying I don't know if that's the country that owns the Galapagos Islands, or like, that's
good
part of it,
point.
or if that's like the closest port that they have
point.
access to.
Oh,
I
good
guess I'll wait
point.
for options.
All right, you holding back? Are you locked in on Chile? As you say,
I
douche?
looked at the options, so I have to be locked in.
Okay.
Love your
because
integrity.
I am a Boy Scout.
That's
Yes.
true.
An Eagle Scout. All right,
Scout
here we
is
go.
honest.
Belize, Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia.
All right, he takes the L.
Yes.
All
right.
right. So Brazil's up there, Whitney.
Took it in the face.
You want that?
You said Belize.
So it is Atlantic,
Brazil,
then.
Ecuador, and what was the other one?
Colombia.
Colombia.
Shit.
Now I want to say Ecuador, though, even though I was saying Brazil.
Man.
This is America. You can change your
America.
mind.
I mean, I don't think it's
Jacob's like, I'm
Brazil.
going last.
All right.
Is the country that you thought on that
Yeah.
list?
It is indeed.
Oh, shit. No, then he's,
I think I'm going to get it right.
Oh, shit. All right, I got one. I'm going to go with Belize. And my logic is Jacob's going to Belize. And because I remember that being a fact, I'm going to use that to parlay into
Solid
this
logic.
Galapagos
I'm going to
thing.
change mine to Ecuador.
That's the one I know it's not. All right. So you're going to go Ecuador.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also know it's not Belize.
God damn it.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't Belize.
It's Ecuador.
It is Ecuador.
Yes! Okay.
All right. Which
3 to 3 to 2 to 2.
No, 3. I
I
have
have
3.
That's why 3 to 3 to 2 to 2.
Oh.
Yeah, I have 2
okay,
now. I
2.
got my
Okay,
other one.
All right.
I stand by my pronunciation.
Which sea creature has 3 hearts?
Oh.
At
Octopus.
least,
Octopus, final answer.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, does it have at least 3 hearts?
What is that mythical creature that's got the 3 heads?
Oh, the Hydra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to have 3 hearts, right? I mean, that'd just fucking be cruel.
I'm definitely waiting for
I
options.
think
I'm
the
gonna wait for
giraffe has a
options.
couple.
Oh.
So I think the giraffe, like to pump the blood all
That
the
would
way
make
up.
sense. They
The
have one in
sea
their
giraffe?
throat.
Yeah, the sea giraffe.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the
I
giraffe?
did.
Oh, yeah, giraffe died.
Yeah, the local zoo giraffe
What?
died. He
Oh.
fell.
Yeah.
Oh,
at
no.
the- Yeah.
So hard fall.
Apparently,
I didn't know
he
anything
was doing wheelies on the freeway. And
Oh.
just fucking fell.
When will they learn?
Oh,
just don't
no,
let
it's
him.
sad. I love that giraffe. He did
Yeah.
paintings.
I know.
Oh, the one at the lion place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the lion habitat. I know. Sorry you had to find out like this, Whitney.
I'm not.
I got it. I'm
I'm
going
thrilled that you
home.
found out like this.
Fell, and then they were trying to get him back up, and he just wasn't going to get up, and
Yeah.
he ended up dying.
I might cry.
It was- I
Don't
know,
say
it was so
that.
sad.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Yeah.
options.
All
Are you
right. I
guys
feel like
getting
Jim might
options?
be
wanna
right,
play
but I'm going to
anymore.
listen to options.
Yeah. Options are shark, jellyfish, stingray, octopus.
Yeah,
I'm going octopus then.
I'll go octopus.
Bitches.
Yeah. I already was like,
Jim, you're sticking with shark. All right. It is an octopus.
yeah.
4, 4, 3, 3.
Thank
think
you,
they-
aquarium.
I think they have like 8 brains. I think there's a brain per
Yeah.
arm.
Well, in a sense, because the way their brain works is it's distributed. So they don't have a centralized brain like we do. Their whole body is like a nervous system that's all thinking on its own.
So you're saying another way to say that is you could say something like
Just
they
not
have
like
a brain per
8
arm.
They don't have like 8 little brains, but yeah, each arm is its own autonomous thinking thing.
Little system.
Yeah, it's really fascinaning. It's one of the most
interesting.
alien shit ever. It's really
Yeah.
sweet.
One of the
Last
most
one.
argumentative ways to tell me I was right about something
Yeah,
ever.
no, I was with you. I was with you.
Very intense.
Adjusting it.
What is the name of the talkative parrot in Aladdin?
Buzz.
Iago, final
Yes.
answer.
Yeah, go.
I will go along with that.
So erase that fucking question from the board. Don't
yes,
dare
it
throw me
is.
Disney shit.
I was
It
like,
is.
shit, is the Broadway parrot a different name than the movie parrot?
Okay, so
Iago.
5, 5.
4.
4,
Oh no,
4.
I did that before. Options. So I have.
Yeah, so
Wait,
you,
4, 4.
we all
okay.
got 2.
Wait,
So
but
I
had
caught
3,
up to you guys.
But I
though,
had 3
because I had
before
shot
that.
from the hip on octopus. So you all got 1, but I got 2.
Oh, yeah.
So I would have
yeah,
caught you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I'm tied with you and Jacob, and then
Okay.
Whitney's one down.
Whitney's Whitney's -1.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
If we're all 0, then
Of course
Whitney's
she is.
-1.
Let's just say that.
course
Yeah,
she
we're
is.
all par, and she's 1 on.
Because I'm a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get 70.
The math
get 70
maths
cents
in
on the
that
dollar.
case.
That's right. You don't get full points.
Yeah.
You know how this works.
You get 70% of each point.
Oh,
Good
inequality's
time.
funny.
Good time.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
Octopus!
Almost tie game. All right, buckle up. Here we go. Coping with a friend's death. Before we read this has a trigger warning for suicide. So if that's not for you, this would be the time to turn off the show, and we'll see you next week.
Also, trigger warning for anyone who doesn't like Francis Ford Coppola, because I'm probably going to make a Francis Ford Coppola joke about the
shows
coping
up.
part.
It shows up. Yeah, sometimes got to get those in there. Hi all, I wrote into your Reddit AMA and then into an episode about how to help my friend Lucas, who was having psychosomatic symptoms and didn't want to take his medication. I have the worst update, which is that my friend Lucas did take his own life. I'm absolutely devastated. Lucas and I had fallen out of contact over the last year or so, something I'm sure will loom large over the next few months. But, and everyone says this, I thought he was getting better. I'm sad for all the obvious reasons, and this particular morning I feel upset that his illness killed him, in a way, 3 years ago. I'm still in therapy of my own, so I have a resource to help me manage, but not a lot of people knew him. Even before he got sick, he was kind of an introvert and oddball. I was one of the only few close friends he had. I think I want anyone who knew him, even peripherally, to know he was a very special person. I called him Gatito because of his cat-like nature and love of cats. He loved to sing and create music. He successfully completed the gallon challenge once and drank a gallon of milk in under an hour without throwing up during that hour.
Wow.
That sounds
I remember
terrible.
that.
I did that. It fucking sucks.
Did you really?
Oh, I failed. Everybody failed.
everyone
I've
fails.
never heard about
Winning
this.
is the worst thing that can happen
Are
to
you sure that's not what killed him?
Okay.
I think that was... All right. One time we found a stuffed penguin named Waddles on our college campus, and he insisted that we walk close enough together that Waddles was held up by our upper arms. Picture two people almost holding
Oh my
hands,
gosh, that's adorable.
but instead
That's really
using their
funny.
biceps. I will miss him forever. So that's been my life since the beginning of the year, and it's all the cliche things everyone always says about grief. A particularly hard day was when I realized that I have, in all likelihood, at least a few thousand more days to live if I'm lucky. And every single one of those days, I am going to wake up in the morning, and for not one single one of those days will he be around for me to talk to. None. Zero. And here's another one. What I wouldn't give for just one more day with him, to talk to him one more time. And I'm a person of the Christian faith, a whole ordained minister, actually, with the master's degree and all. And still,
Sorry about the whole other part of the show.
yeah, don't listen to the first half of the show. Just let that go. And still, none of that helps. I firmly believe I'll see him again someday, but also, he's dead now. I miss him now. Plus, there is a very real difference between someone being spiritually there and there in a physical presence. You know this. We all know this. I'm getting through it, and my therapist is awesome. But do you have any tips that can help me deal with my friend's suicide? Thanks, Erie Sarah. Might be Erie. Erie, that's it. Erie Sarah.
Yeah, that's how the city is spelled.
From
Erie,
Erie, from Erie, PA.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. And you know what? If you go in our back catalog writer, because I know we're tempted to repeat some things on this one, but if you go in our catalog, everybody has stories. We have stories of patients, we have stories of friends, and it is, I think, we've had opportunities in the past to really share those. And I think sometimes stuff like that is really healthy to hear, like how other people were stricken by it, how they coped with it, how they found out, and then recovering from it. So before we launch into answers, I just want to make it clear that this has come up a lot. If you go to podtherapy.net, and you go up into the search bar, you can just search the word suicide, and a ton of our content speaks to this.
You can also do it for most podcast apps.
Apps.
Oh,
yeah.
Like
you can
I just did it
search.
on ours. It looks like episode 343, 342, 341, 340,
It comes up a
339.
Wow.
Like apparently we've mentioned it a few times.
No.
Dang.
What's coming up is there is a disclaimer at the bottom of every episode with suicide
there we are.
hotline resources,
Oh, okay.
and that's why it's seeing that.
I was like, my God.
I was like,
the
I
last
don't
10
remember
episodes?
all of
I don't
that.
remember that.
We gotta start.
It also doesn't help that I don't know what episode number we're on right now.
It's weird for me to think that we got to lighten the mood a little bit, but Jesus
Every
Christ.
day? Yeah, no, there's a
Oh, that makes a lot
disclaimer.
more sense.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
If you go into the episode description, the bottom of it always says, here are resources if you're hurting.
Nice. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. I mean, the first thing is I admire you for telling stories, and just trying to keep you've got kind of a very positive attitude. You're remembering these funny stories, good times, and willing to share those. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I like that too. I was going to just say thanks for even just writing in to share that.
Yeah.
I think that's really special. And that is definitely something if you have other friends, they don't even have to be mutual friends. You said Lucas kind of kept to themselves a lot and not a lot of people knew them, but just sharing with your own friends like, hey, I'm having kind of a tough day and I'm really missing my friend, and sharing some of those fun memories too. I think that helps keep someone feeling like they're there.
They're with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. You know, Ryder, one of the things about this that I think is really difficult is whenever somebody suddenly exits, one of the first things is, oh my gosh, how long has it been since I talked to them? When did I last speak to them? What did I know? And one of the things you talk about in your letter is how most people thought Lucas was, quote unquote, getting better. And this is a really hard thing because with somebody that's dealing with chronic problems, chronic pain, chronic depression, weaknesses in mental health, it is not a straight line, and it zigs and it zags. And so this is one of the reasons why a lot of therapists will keep a patient like Lucas under care for a while, even when they are appearing to be better. And if they were to say, so do you think we should discontinue? A lot of times they'll be like, no, I just want to keep checking in with you. Maybe not every week, but we're not going to close the file. I want to make sure that if things zag, you still have me in your life. We're still making sure we have safety procedures and we're checking in. And, he was a person who was suffering from an awful lot of things. And so I want to normalize that a little bit. That's not to cause fear, because I know we have a lot of listeners who have shared in the past that they have a lot of anxiety about like, oh my gosh, can things get suddenly worse? And can suddenly people do things that are spontaneous and end their lives? That's not what we're talking about here. It doesn't, Lucas, if you go back and listen to the story originally from that writer, really was dealing with a lot and had been for years. And so this was a story where somebody struggled with mental health for a very long time, had been going through a lot of agony, and unfortunately succumbed to that mental illness at some point, despite that overall lift that we thought they were having. And so a lot of times, Ryder, people will say, I missed it. I must have missed the signs. They were fooling us into thinking they were getting better. And I should have been a good enough friend if I had talked to them more often and didn't keep our conversation superficial, then I would know. And you wouldn't.
Yeah.
A therapist wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And we read people for a living.
Yeah.
Avoiding the self-blame is really tough. And even worse, I think, sometimes if you're a therapist.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because like a friend of mine who I played hockey with, who was a guest on this show, did this, and I don't know if I ever even told you.
We
that.
never told the audience.
Yeah.
So now we probably should.
Yeah. He was a guest on the show. I had him on. This was probably 2 years ago, I think. But
he came on to speak about schizophrenia.
Yeah, and that was tough. And then you kind of have this feeling like you hear about that and like, well, shit, geez, when was the last time I talked to him?
Yeah.
Could I have done something? Could I have spent more time? Could I have called him and just hung out or done something? But
I bet being a pastor, there are similar thoughts there. Being a pastor, a large part of that job is listening to people and paying attention to people.
Yeah.
If that isn't something you were already dealing with, sorry for putting that in your mind.
No, but it's very
Jacob.
natural. It is natural. Years ago,
when you're in any helping purpose,
I think it was in 2019.
Exactly.
It was right before COVID. This was before we did regular Patreon stuff, and so we would occasionally do something. And I had a series that I had done a little bit in 18 and 19 that I think was called like Jim's Journal. And there were just things that would happen in life, and I would just kind of be very raw and reflect on them. And I had a patient commit suicide that year, and I recorded a reaction that night. And it was very raw and very emotional. And I left it, even though today, I don't think I could ever go back and listen to that again. And it's one of those things that I don't feel like a strong therapist in that day. And so that's tough to leave that out there as a record. But then I've decided I will, because there are so many students and interns that often go into our archives and find stuff, and I want them to know this happens, you know. And it's like Nick was just saying, you don't have some kind of sixth sense to be able to detect it. I didn't see it coming, and Ryder, you didn't see this coming, and I brought that up because I want to normalize that. Often suicide is visible. We do see a steady decline over time. There are many warning signs. We've hospitalized this person 5 different times. They're destroying their life with drugs and alcohol. Sometimes that's the trajectory. Sometimes it's what happened to Lucas.
Yeah.
And you're not a bad friend for not seeing it.
Yeah. Sometimes especially if a decision has already been made, then they've made up their mind on what they want to do. Then they want to protect the people around them. So they try their hardest not to.
I was going to ask you about that. What, in your experiences, do you see that, kind of once they've on the baseball diamond reference that we've used in the past.
Yeah.
Once they decide, and we know what I mean when I say decide.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just thinking about it seriously, not planning anymore.
They've said,
like nope,
I'm
doing it.
Yeah.
And they've got it all mapped out, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Is it common to see kind of an obvious turnaround, kind of an obvious change of mood, change of attitude at that point that could from the outside look like, oh my goodness, this person is suddenly doing much better?
That's actually kind of common when dealing with like depression.
Yeah.
Because you do see a little bit of a lift of mood in a sense, because now they kind of feel like they see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I've got a plan now.
I don't have to
feel like they have
agonize over
control.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I have control. I have a solution. Now I just want to tidy up my affairs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, let me just give a hug, but I also don't want to forewarn anybody. And sometimes that can happen where they have made up their mind, and it can trick a therapist, because the therapist will be like, so how have you been doing? Really good. And Whitney, I just wanted you to know you're a really wonderful therapist, and you've done a lot for me, and I'm really grateful. Like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Glad we're helping in this
I'm so
session.
glad.
This is why anytime anybody gives me a compliment,
I'm like,
I'm
are
very
you okay?
suspicious.
You immediately hit the red button? Yeah, something's wrong.
Ether rag 'em.
Yeah, but no, that's a real thing.
I've always
Jacob.
felt you were a good golfer. All right, hold on.
Yeah, this is a cry for help. No, but yeah, they dupe everybody, and sometimes that's part of what this can be, is that somebody has decided they're going to do this. And again, suicide is something that therapists very much exist to prevent. But one of the things we have to accept is that there are illnesses you can prevent, like, you can deal with certain things. And this just happened in the UNLV clinic recently. We had, a passing, and of course that shook the shit out of our students, and we had to teach them about this. And one of the things we had to help them understand is this will happen. It doesn't mean you're bad at your job. Because the person you are trying to treat is the person with the illness. The thing about them that is broken is their brain. So like, you can do everything, you can do all the right moves, everything that was correct. At the end of the day, they still have fundamental autonomy. Right. And that can include this decision. Yeah. So anyway,
you're a bad therapist because you're being taught by Jim Jobin.
That's what makes you bad, not because of anything else.
Not because of this.
That's right. So you didn't say you felt like you were to blame too much in their writer, but there was definitely language of like, oh my God, when's the last time I talked to this person? We all thought they were doing better.
And I think it's helpful to just share and remind others, even if the writer specifically.
The reason I asked that is a close friend of mine that committed suicide several years ago. We saw him a few days prior, and both of us, my wife and I, both commented on like, man, it's good to see our buddy doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last thought that we had about him after seeing him.
Wow.
And then like a week later. Something like that.
Yeah, sometimes they hide it really well.
Yeah.
And that's part of how they're coping.
Well, and that's I mean, that's how they're able to function, is by hiding it so well.
Yeah, right.
And so it's we can't blame ourselves for that. That's like that's kind of
sure we can. That's what we're good at it.
That's
we're fucking great at it. Are you kidding me?
That's kind of the nature of the disease in a sense. That's one of the symptoms. So
but Ryder, you're coping in all the right ways, as Whitney said. I think it's healthy to share stories. I think it's healthy to commiserate with people. That was something that has gotten me through whenever I've had patients or friends that have died by suicide. I've found a lot of, I think, peace and growth by getting a chance to talk to mutual contacts and friends, and being able to debrief and talk about it with them, and try to support them and let them support me, and just cry together, and just and say things like, none of us saw this coming. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. Did you see anything? And even then, noticing little clues, and be like, well, there was this one thing. Oh God, should we have caught that? No, that's not what we're doing. We're not doing an audit to figure out who made mistakes. We're processing something that shocked us.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of an angle that a lot of people do. But this idea that you're noticing of every day of my life, the thousands of days I have left, this person is no longer part of that. They are no longer available to be in any of those days. That's a really profound way you languaged that, Ryder. And to me, I just think that's you, I think, drawing on your theological training and some of the writing you've probably done and sort of your understanding of literature, and kind of conceptualizing this in that sort of meta existential way. And that's deep, and I know also can be like a biz thought, like, oh my God, like I'm staring into the dark. And that's probably how your soul is processing this too. And that's okay for that to be your way.
It's like the first time I saw Godfather 3.
Okay.
Here we go. I was wondering when this
It just wasn't very good compared to the other two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coppola.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. I was wondering when we're going to get back to
This is
that.
probably not the right time to bring this up, but I've not seen any of the Godfather.
Not
I
any
was
of them?
just gonna say the same thing. I'm like, but I can't in this room.
Not any of them?
The first two are sensational. The third one gets a bad rap
Even
for being
better.
a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just bad compared to the two sensational movies that start the trilogy.
Ooh,
I see.
sensational's big. The first one was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. Second one got a little tired dealing with all this legal bullshit.
The second one is widely considered to be one of
better
the
one?
only ones on the short list where the sequel is better than the original movie.
I've heard that.
Oh.
I've heard that.
Like
Okay.
De Niro's part,
Like
amazing.
it's really like Godfather 2, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back.
Battlefield Earth 2.
Right. I mean, it couldn't be worse than the first one.
This is probably true.
So, I mean,
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Listeners, I dare you to find another podcast out there that can shift so easily.
Yeah. What we do
From
is
this-
not able to be
Shelly
replicated.
made a
Just
suicide joke about drinking milk. You could go fuck
In
yourself.
no question. And the writer has been listening long enough to go, I know they have good hearts. It will be fine. That's part of how they deal with this and part of how they teach.
But okay, I've never done the milk thing, but did you know?
Yeah.
Okay, there's the saltine cracker one. Have you done that?
Fuck that.
4 saltine crackers in 1 minute.
Yeah.
It seems
My mouth
like
hurts just
of
thinking.
course you can do that.
No.
I've never been able to do it.
It's like
Can you drink a glass of water first?
No. You
Oh,
can't have any
first.
water first. No. And then you have to fully eat one cracker and digest it, like
swallow it
to
all.
get it
You can't
down.
just shove 4 in your mouth.
before you put the next
I
one
did
in.
that.
Yeah, because I could shove 4 in my mouth.
And it's in how long? In 1
4
minute?
of anything.
1 minute. Okay. All
Jacob
right.
has a lot of experience
Challenge
with this. I can
accepted.
see it in his
Name
eyes.
something that I can't fit 4 of in my mouth.
We're going
I
to find
dare
out
you.
at the pudding wrestling match. Okay. End of the year. That's when we're going to get this shit. I did that with cinnamon. I did a mouthful
the
of cinnamon.
Oh, yeah, that
a
was a
tablespoon.
thing, yeah.
It just dries out your mouth so much. And then, like, turns out your digestive system relies on saliva and your body will reject anything without it.
Yeah.
But the milk thing fucking sucks. So that was our high school rite of passage at summer camp in our church youth group was all the boys would...
Y'all did some kinky
All
shit.
the boys.
Yeah.
The
It
boys
was a
in
boys
the
thing.
milk.
Boys only. No, not for you ladies. This is for
Jugs
men.
of milk.
Yeah,
Drinking
we
all
know
this milk
nothing
in the
about
forest
that.
and
Yeah.
puking on each other. This is for the boys.
Why'd you put all this milk on your face?
Yeah.
Got milk
But
was
yeah,
really popular
That was the
back
challenge,
then.
milk gallon challenge. So we would all go down to the little convenience store up in the mountains of California at our summer camp and buy us a gallon of milk each, and then come up and then
The
at
rookies
the same
bought whole
time,
milk.
Yeah.
you're trying to drink the whole thing. Yeah, that was the dumbass move. So the rule was
you want
2%.
skim.
Yeah, the rule was everybody to get 2.
I didn't even know they sold buttermilk by the gallon.
Yeah. How'd you even get this? To warm it up to melt
This
it.
is just butter.
Yeah, dude, it fucking sucks. So it all gets in there, and then everybody just starts puking, and you puke a lot. And once you puke, you
Like
lose,
Team
so you don't
America.
drink anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's everything, and it's so awful because if you don't puke, you have a gallon of a curdling
Then you're just curdling,
dairy
yeah.
in your stomach
I
that is
didn't
not
think
designed to
about
hold a
that.
gallon of a fluid.
Right.
It wants the fluid to pass to other things. It can't.
And of course,
because
if
it
you're
needs to
lactose
fucking
intolerant
digest.
at all,
Oh, it's awful.
then
yeah.
you're just going to spend the next few days shitting yourself.
Yeah.
They have, I think, stopped doing this kind of dumb shit since it's never a good idea.
Yeah, kids don't do dumb shit anymore.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
here
I'm
first.
glad they stopped.
The future is bright.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to
You
be
are the future.
wrapping up the show. We want to remind you, you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get the extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research, roundups, and rants. This week, you'll be hearing my 5th installment of the 10 questions every therapist should ask themselves, I think. And I also have upcoming an interview with 2 marriage and family therapy students.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that was really neat. So we got to talk about their discipline and kind of what they're working on. And they were interviewing me for a school paper where they needed to interview an addictions person. And so that was pretty fun. So we got to talk about
why they interview
substance
you?
use.
Person who's addicted to things.
I'm fucking addicted to meth. That was it. They said, hey, man, we saw your ad on Craigslist. We just wanted to ask you some questions.
Person.
Like, I'm also a therapist. So anyway, check it out. Patreon.com/therapy. Every Monday we release new stuff.
I like that Jim's go-to joke there is, I'm addicted to meth.
That's the move.
That's Jim's go-to there.
Always.
Not like caffeine or something.
No, it's meth. So, yep, every Monday, check it out. We release something every Monday, except when Nick doesn't fucking feel like it.
Almost every Monday. We really need to get Whitney some recording equement.
Yeah.
Blame this on Whitney.
I'll blame it on whoever the hell I want to. Thank you.
He's looking at me still.
You're just going to drop shit off at your house.
I know, I'm like, what is all this recording stuff? Nick's
Plug this in.
driving off fast in the
I
distance.
don't want to do this anymore. All right, so check it out, patreon.com/therapy. And welcome to the new folks who have joined the Thera Party. Who's new to the tribe there, Nick?
We got Christina Marie.
Finally.
Thank you. Joining us as a TheraPal. And Scorn. I assume that's Michael Scorn.
Probably.
I don't know for sure, but yes. And then we got 2 new Therapods, Jesse Miller and Adam Goff.
Awesome.
Okay.
You know Adam
Adam Goff.
from Australia.
Yeah, of the
Adam.
Australian Goffs.
Yeah.
I know that.
The Australian.
Yep. My favorite Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
Is
all.
it the Adam Goff that I know? I know an Adam Goff.
Probably.
He was at Scoop Fest.
Then he definitely knows.
Yes, I do know that Adam Goff. Not the Adam Goff I was thinking of.
Oh.
I know 2 Adam Goffs.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That's odd.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because on the way home today, we went to the Cowabunga Bay, the Wet and Wild. You know, that was pretty cool. And on the way home, one of my kids goes, Dad, have you ever met somebody whose name really was John Smith? Like, that just is a fake name, right? And I was like, no, I know what Jacob Smith. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah,
Uncle Jacob.
I do. Uncle Jacob's last name is Smith.
Also, John Smith is a very famous historical figure.
Yeah. This is the
Like
one that
Pocahontas
hooked
and
up
all that
with
stuff.
Pocahontas. That's what I know him from, mostly from the Disney movie.
Also, I had an uncle named John Smith.
I do not doubt
Yeah.
that.
I was like, there's got to be a John in your family.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Of course,
There is.
Yeah.
Somebody was a John. Anyway, there are partners. We'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much. They give till it hurts. Thank you, Dirty B and Pickett. And we want to especially thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Thera Producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra. Thank you for the trivia, by the way, Myra. We're still using it.
Yeah.
Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slapping Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpee Kai, Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, and Emma Kane.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast. And thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Fuck the social media message. We need trivia. Okay, send us trivia. PodTherapyGuys@gmail.com. Come with your own trivia. Black out the answers. Make sure that Nick can't fucking cheat because he
Just like
fucking
space
will.
them way down. So when he opens it up on his
Do
computer,
an answer
just
key.
space it way down at the bottom.
Yeah, then make sure we can't
yeah,
accidentally
different page
see
or something
other.
like that.
Yeah, there's ways. You'll figure that shit out. Anyway, send that shit to us. PodTherapyGuys@gmail.com.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? You can ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
Thanks. We'll see you for your appointment next week.
I was like, I'm not paying attention.
You guys are good at this.